There are 6 lines on the top. Haganav Mishabah Machteres. Thieves who came in a Machteres. Now, they came in a Machteres, they burglarized the house. When they come to do tshuva, chav, and lahach, so they have to give back whatever they took. Now, there's some to do in the achronim over here. When we say that when they come to the house, in a tunnel, so kinlei rabamine, they're chayav misa because the owner of the house can kill them, and since kinlei rabamine, so therefore they should be exempt from payment. So the Or Samech has a whole lomdis how it should work out, why the chayav payment nonetheless. But I would just like to say balabatish. Where are you? No, the beginning, Bava Kamma. But the Pashup shot, I would say, is that the reason why he doesn't pay is because the reason why he wants to pay is because it comes to do tshuva. Because he doesn't have his part because the Kilo Rabbin, if he wants to do tshuva, he's got to pay. So what does he pay? So Echad Chayav Lachzir Shlo.
What's your answer again?
Yes, he's doing tshuva.
He's doing the tshuva, therefore, because he's really not.
He's not obligated. Lots is Yidei Shamayim. Yeah, he wants.
Something more than that. This issue came up in the Bava as well.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of things going on there, and I just don't remember. There's a whole tour of it.
Yeah, the Or Samech speaks about that after when they break it outside the Machteres to become Chayav again, because even though in the Machteres they're parts of, but if they break it or it gets lost after they leave the Machteres, they're liable for that, because only a specific point in time when we say Kinlan Rabbinate. So that's the Lomdus he says, well, I think it's based on the Bavli. But I don't think it's necessary to say that. Anyway, so if one of them does Tshuva Chayav L'Achzir Shlo, he has to give back his own portion. If he was the guy who was standing in the tunnel, and everybody gave the stolen goods to him, and he transported them out of the tunnel, so he was the Moitzi, right? He was the Moitzi B'Noisei. So, Lohem, I mean, he was handing out to the other burglars on the outside, whatever it is. So he has to pay for everybody because he really facilitated the entire Geneva, the entire heist, what's it called, was done through him.
Is it in the Zayyoch?
Yeah, that's by Shabbos, but that doesn't apply over here. Tani, somebody who steals and gives his kid to eat that which he stole, whether they're adults or minors, they're exempt from pay. If they didn't yet eat it, but they left it in front of them, and he died, whether they're adults or minors, they have to restore the stolen objects. If they're adults, they have to restore stolen objects. If they're minors, peturim. So like any other obligation upon a minor, they don't have to fulfill it. And even if the adults say, we don't know. Before he died, he made a cheshbon. He returned to you that which he stole from you. If they say we don't know that, that's a legitimate taina for them to go off the hook. Hey, Sibrahi Bava Kamma or Bava Metzia, so that's the question. Imagine this. Do we go this far? B'shenich karka? Would that even if the father left in real estate? Law call me man or man. Do they have the? It's not. It shouldn't. In their case, it certainly should not be within their power to Lomar. They shouldn't have that capacity because since they have real estate, it's like any other debt which their father left them, right? Any other debt, if the father left them real estate, they must pay up the debt. So here too, the father left the real estate, they should have to pay up the debt, right? Similarly, Rav Nuna asked, I got to imagine this scenario. It's well known this is a stolen object, it's a hot car. So then law called me Lamar. Shouldn't be within their capacity to say any other amounts or should they have a capacity to say? Should not be within their capacity to say that we don't know what cheshbon their father made at the end. They have a gzelim for semis. They have a thing which is well known to be a stolen good. Hey, Rav Sheshes. On the other hand, Rav Sheshes has a question. Ketanim nitanim loyam bebeistin. Ma'itzel l'meimar. By ketanim who are that which it says the chayil ketanim where the father left in front of them goods, right? So it says that they're hiniach lifneim. So then the Reisha said, "Ben gdolim ben ktanim chayovim." They're liable no matter what. Why are they liable? Let's say let's time for them. I'm sorry. Why don't we time for them? In other words, if the adults could say maybe our father made a cheshbon at the end, so why can the children also say? If the adults can say it, for children, even if they don't say it, let basin time for them, because we know we have a principle. Tanin only ask me. We make the claims for Yisraelim, so why don't we claim for them on their behalf? Maybe the father made a cheshbon. I said it's not that simple. Tipata b'shatah, and this answers all the questions together. Tipata b'shatah nu hein on uyodim, that which we don't tie for the Yisraelim, and that which gedolim are also chayam, they make a tie as if they say we don't know what went on. What taina does exempt them by the gedolim, and nevertheless we don't taina this for ketanim, which is anan the asa yodimana, we know. We know our father was involved in this cheshbon. We know he made it. He had an issue with you. We don't know what came out from that discussion, literally from that din, but obviously it wasn't din Torah. The Shaitan so fact changes to mino. We don't know what came out of it. So everybody say, well, we taina for ktani muta. We don't taina any taina for. And even they say, we don't know if our father paid you back or not, that's not sufficient. They have to pay in that case. The only case them do not have to pay is if they say, we know our father had something to do with you on this matter, we just don't know what the conclusion was. In that case, we say that's a legitimate response, that they do not have to pay back. Okay, only that one case. It's securing it out. The father did something, they just don't know what the father did. Okay, let's go on. If the tax collectors took his donkey, and they gave him another donkey which wasn't his, if bandits took his garment, so he gave him another garment, he gets to keep the garment which he got. Because when the tax collector or the bandits take your stuff, you give a pope. So therefore, it's a Yeush, and after Yeush and Shirashus, after Yeush, after he gave a pope, and after now reached the other person's domain, he gets to keep it. If somebody saves something from a river, you had to list him, or from a bandit. In the Shalshabah, if the owners gave a pope, he gets to keep it. So too a swarm of bees. In the Yerushalmi, the owners gave a pope, then the finder gets to keep it. Rabbi Yochanan said, on the other hand, Nemenis Isha Okota Lomar, a woman or a child is believed to say, Mikani Yatzanach, that this swarm left this location, in order to attribute ownership to the person in whose yard the swarm originated. And the person whose swarm it was goes into the other fellow's fields and takes the swarm back. If his swarm damaged, he pays for the damage caused by his swarm. But he can't chop off the branch upon which his swarm has alighted, even with the intent of paying the owner for having chopped down the branch. That sounds right to do so. That's Tana Kamma. Yes, he's allowed to chop down the branch and give money for the branch in order to take his swarm back to his field.
There's no concept here about how much
good question. No, it's a good question what you're asking. We'll see in a minute. Tanya, Hamatu Minagais. When the price of somebody steals or saves some bandits. A lake or from a fire. Mishnusayan from a tidal wave or tidal basin of some sort. Mishnusayan from a river flood stage. Harei whatever he saved he gets to keep, even as Simonim. Even as signs as the original owner, because the original owner gives the pope. The dvarim so to a swarm beast, the owners gave a pope, Harei Shlo finders keepers. Achina Bar Papa Shema Yechanan said, Masisa, this Mishnah is talking about benachil, price also. So about a nachil, so about a swarm, it should be shegzelo mina halacha. You take the yud out of the halacha and put it into gzelo. Where the theft is the rabbanon. Gzelo, it's theft, it's the rabbanon. Because the swarm bees doesn't belong to anybody, but it's not domesticated. You can't own a bee. It's not a domestic animal, it's not a behemoth, it's a chaya, so not even a chaya, right?
This is the swarm minus the hive, the beehive.
Yeah, but even if it's in the beehive, you don't own it. You only own domestic animals.
And I don't remember what the sugya discussed. There's in Bava Kamma, there's a whole sugya about kaveras, the whole thing about beehives, and I don't remember.
Basra, about how far you have to put the beehives from the honey.
Maybe it's about Basra.
Yeah, that's a famous sugya kaver, second paragraph of Basra. That's how far you have to.
But isn't an aspect of ownership there attributed to,
No.
to the beehive?
Shmiras Nezakin. The year Bishan Garbi Mazik is honey. So, but in any event, that's the Benachah Shegzelu Min Halacha. And that's why we believe a little kid. Because the theft is the Rabbanon, right? There's no theft of rice of swarm, so hey Momer Veimamu, since the theft is the Rabbanon, they also believe testimony is the Rabbanon by it. Okay? Ubeporeh, now this is, by the way, the change is based on the Bavli, in the Yerushalmi Ksuvas, where it has the change. And it says here, Beporeh, in the Yerushalmi and Ksuvas it says Ubemafriach. And that's why about the bees, that when can you get your bees back? When they're still flying around from place to place, even if they've alighted temporarily in some other branch. But once they've set up shop somewhere else, so the same Rabbanon which gave you ownership now gives the ownership to the to the person where the bees now to set up shop, and they're no longer yours. But the Ramban says a different shot here. The Vilna for the Rashba, sorry. Vilna brings it down here on the very bottom of the page. Those of some of you who have it, that says that no, the pshat here is that the Pereach means, like today we have the concept of pirche. Pirche are young lads, right? But they have to be above a certain age. They have to be above 12. They have to have simonim, says Gilin Ephraim, even though they're not 12 yet. They have to have 2 heirs, even though they're not 12. So those are specifically type people are believed to say that Mikan Yotza Nachal Shel Dvarim Zu, where here the swarm bees came, not anybody who's younger than that. That's so we try to Porech. Uvara Asar. Also, it has to be on the spot when we ask him, and he says this, the Katan or the Isha. But if you left the room and came back, Omer, I say, they said it because they were seduced by lollipops or threatened by patches, and therefore we don't believe it. He says, so how come you can cut down the other guy's branch in order to get your swarm? Tonight, Basin, this is a condition made by Basin when they divvied up the land of Israel. Lokud says Sukkah that this guy can chop down the other guy's branch, lead in domim, and nosidom, and pay for it. Shamnas Kenechil Yoshua, Yoshua made a stipulation before he divided up Eretz Yisrael to Shvatim that this is one of the enactments they accepted upon themselves. Now, your goods were stolen. You recognize these goods stolen tools or books in somebody else's domain. If it was well known that this is a stolen object, then Bava Kamma the person in whose domain these entities were found should take a shvuah. I mean, we know that he didn't steal because it's known that it was stolen by somebody else. So then he takes a shvuah kama hotzi, how much he expended from these, v'yotzi, and he takes v'yitol, and then he can take. V'imlav, and if not, in other words, the person who bought the sefer gets from the nigzal as much as the sefer is worth. Is that clear? I don't know if I might have said that over wrong. In other words, since the Gaza is not around, we don't know the Gaza, we don't find the Gaza. All we know is the nigzal and the guy in whose hands he finds the sefer. So it's not fair that this guy should be out the money that he paid for the book. So therefore we make him take, and we have him take an oath how much he got for the made on the book, and then he takes that oath and he gets the price of the book back from the original owner. Does he? Yeah, the original owner, right? The original owner. In order to get his own book back, that's right. In order to get his own book back, he has to pay. So he has to pay the person who's holding on to right now.
So then he has to go against the dog one before.
Right, and then he has to go against Gaz and Kula. Vim Lam, if not, local Imenu, if it's not well known that it's a theft, so a person can't go around and say, doesn't have the capacity to go around and say that it's his, Shani Omer, I say, Mochan La'acher, Lochan Zem Imenu. I say somebody else, sold to somebody else, and this guy bought from the third party. So if there's no testimony, then we don't assume that what the guy is saying, the claimant is saying is correct. Really, it's proper that the person, the third party in whose hands the book was found, should not take a shvua. Should take a shvua. So people should become fences for thieves. Whatever he has to take a shvua is kind of a deterrent. I don't know if it's such a good deterrent, but it's a deterrent. Rabbi Shmuel said, he's got to have a name that is former stolen. Others don't believe him altogether. It has to be well known that this guy's former stolen. Okay? Says the Gemara, how does this thing happen? I'm going to make this parallel to the Bavli, even though it's a question whether it is parallel to Bavli, but the Yishai Teresol does. Rav Asiyah said, Rav Amar, Tzarech Levi Raya, he has to bring a proof, Shalonu Imobo Salayla, instead of Lon, Shalonu. Meaning like this, the way the Bavli says it, is that the Balabais has to announce instead of guess that night when he had the burglary, that the burglary took place. So then the Bavli asks, who says that we believe him? The burglary takes place just because he claims it. Maybe he's sending up the hue and cry like the daughter of Paro, right? Not daughter of Paro, the Paro Potiphar, right? Who claimed that, not the daughter, the wife, Potiphar, who set up a false hue and cry. So I don't know if the hue and cry is true. So, is this in honor of your siyum?
Yeah.
Once you're making a siyum, can you actually get me a Diet Coke, please? Mazel tov.
Diet Pepsi's on it?
Diet Pepsi's fine, but I don't know if the machine's taking dollar bills tonight. My son is on the verge of finishing Shas Mishnayos. But at the bar mitzvah, he just has half of neither left, and that'll be finished. All right. So, Hamakir Caleb. So what does he have to do? He has to bring proof that people slept in his house that night. Now, the way the Bible explains it here, it's very cryptic. The Bible explains that he has to bring proof that he had guests that night. And he got up in front of his guests and he said, look, my house has been rifled and cleaned out. That's how you can make a shame Geneva. So the Bible says maybe he staged the whole thing. So the Gemara says it's got to be that they saw people running from the house through tunnels with bundles on their backs, right? Because that makes it pretty convincing. But the Yerushalmi doesn't go that far. The Yerushalmi just says he has to bring a proof that there are people in his house that night, and that's enough. In other words, that he raised the hue and cry even if it was false. So Yerushalmi doesn't require more than that for a call. If the guy says, the buyer says that he bought it from so-and-so, and he names the bookseller, Naaman, he's believing, he doesn't even have to take a shvur, the way Lieberman explains it, the name of the Ramban. Because, because in that case, this is not the Bali, because in that case he has credibility to say how much he paid, because it's Milsa Daviyagui. If he's lying, we'll go ask Yankel, who he claims sold him, whether he sold him for that price or not. So if he says, I bought it from Yankel for $10, I'll leave him in without a shvur. Says, well, that's nice, but Asa Uvto Kumi Rabbi Nasa, the case came from Rabbi Nasa. For low Kabil, he didn't accept what the guy said, I bought it from Yankel for $10. Ma point, what? Does he answer? No, Amar, he said, Barnash Dakinavo, he was a con man. It's a crooked fellow. The begin came low key, but that's why he didn't accept his assertion that he bought it from Yankel for $10. It's another pshat here in the Shai Teresol. He says Barnash Aki means he's a poor fellow. In other words, the seller was a poor fellow. And we don't believe that we don't believe that this guy had books to sell. In other words, he didn't have a bookstore. Okay, so it's going on the seller, not the buyer. The seller, the seller who this buyer's name didn't have a bookstore, so we believe that he just took a name out of the hat. Okay, halacha dalet. Zeba b'chavisa shel yain, v'zeba b'kara shel dvash. This guy comes. What about the other building? You got yourself a Coke in the other building. So go ahead, give me a Diet Coke. Thank you. Yeah. All right. You have a change? Wait, we're taking up a collection. I don't have a green card, guys.
What do they charge?
50 cents.
50 cents.
They take 50 cents. Oh.
I don't know if they take this.
Thank you. Zeba chavisa shayayin. Wait, today I want you to know I snored today a whole $1 because I needed 2 quarters for parking meters today, and I snored those too. I'm getting successful at this gig here. Okay, Zeba chavisa shayayin. Zeba karo shel dvash. This guy comes with his jug of wine. This guy comes with his jug, whatever, container of honey. So look, the guy Reuben's carrying honey, so the pot cracked. It doesn't say if it cracked on each other. It's not part of the story, not germane. Anyway, but honey's more expensive than wine. This guy pours out his wine to save the other guy's honey. So now he wants the price of his wine. He doesn't get it. And he only gets the reward, the wages for having saved the honey. Only Omar, if he says, Atila Shochav Ator Nosenli Dmei Shali, should I save yours and you'll pay me for mine, then Chayv Litain Lo, then the honey guy has got to give the value of the wine to the wine guy. Now here's a fascinating Gemara. This Gemara actually is not in the Bavli, it's a Tosefta. Tani Shnayim Bamidbar, 2 guys in the desert, similar to Ben Peter and Rabbi Akiva's case, but a variation on the theme. Right? Ben Peter and Akiva is the 2 guys at the 1 canteen. Here there's also 1 canteen, but they're not even in danger. Shnayim Midbar, B'yadze Chavis Mayim, this guy's got a jug of water, B'yadze Chavis Mayim, the other guy's got a jug of honey. Nizar Chavis Mayim, so the water bottle cracks. So, Tatnai Beistinu. It's a Tnai Beistin. Beistin stipulated, Sheyishboch Zed Div show that this guy should spill out his honey, V'yatzos Meimov and save the other guy's water, despite the fact that water is much cheaper than honey. Shamayim Mechaye Bamidbar V'lo Advash. Water keeps the guy alive in the desert and not honey. Fascinating, right? Okay, so, Bnei Moshe brings down that when he get to a yishuv, when they get to a community, so thank you. He's got to reimburse the water guy's got to reimburse the honey guy for having saved his water. Okay, so there's ample water. In this case, it seems even though there's ample water, still you do everything you can to save the water supply.
No, but you're in a desert, so and you have ample water now, but maybe down the road you won't have ample water.
Right, that's true.
Get into a sakana situation.
But it's expensive proposition though, because he's going to have to pay for all the honey, which the other guy poured out.
Honey won't do you any good if you die.
Okay, masking, that's what it says. It's not illogical, just it's an interesting case. If you have a worker or a poor man who's going up to collect, Leket Shichan Peh at the top of the tree. They went to the top of the tree, V'shavru Sucha, and they broke a branch while they were there. If in this area, workers go up trees, supposed to go up ladders, and they're exempt. This is aberrant, chayav, and they're liable. From this Mishnah, this Gemara alone, you could derive mounds and mounds of halachas. If you thought about it, in terms of, when I could charge somebody else for a service I did in their part, and when in the course of his service I'm exempt from paying if I mess up in the service. Let's say, if you have a plumber and he messes up your house, but he did no standard operating procedure, so it depends, if he did Kimineg HaMokum, so it says here is potter, right? So even he broke a branch in the course of doing it. That's what it says here about a worker broke a branch while he was working on your tree. It's a fascinating thing.
Did the worker break the branch climbing up
on your tree to do your work?
Yeah, with a ladder or...
If that's the question, whether it's a...
extraordinary way that's not...
No, it's not Kedarko. He didn't use a ladder. It wasn't using a ladder because they don't use ladders there to climb up trees. So the major ramifications. I just can't think of any offhand. But I'm sure there are, it sounds obviously very important. And next mission, no different. Shatav Nahar Chamoiro. A donkey swept away. A donkey swept away. Yeah, 1 second. I missed a Lieberman I wanted to say over. Lieberman on... the Lieberman on the Gemara a couple of Gemaras ago. A couple of Gemaras ago said that Bedinu Shlo Yishava, really, if the guy who has the book doesn't have to take, shouldn't have to take a shvuah. Why does he take a shvuah? Because he... so the people shouldn't go and join up with Ganovim. So the Pnei Moshe says there, why does he have to take a shvuah b'din? Because he is a chazak on the book. Since he's only on the book, so we believe him. We should believe him how much he paid without the shvuah. But Lieberman says that's not as far because maybe he stole the book. Lieberman says the reason is because there's a concept takonas hashuk. It's not brought down in the Bavli, the Yerushalmi. It's brought down in the Bavli in this Gemara. Takonas hashuk means people have credibility to say how much they paid for things in the marketplace, because otherwise the marketplace wouldn't work. So that's why really here there shouldn't be a requirement for shvuah, if not for the fact that this is, rumored to be stolen goods. So that's why make it take a shvuah in order that people should make sure not to associate with known thieves. But normally there's this concept called takonas hashuk, which allows for not taking shvuahs on normal day-to-day activity in the course of wheeling and dealing and trade. Okay? Sorry about that. Halacha hey. Shatav Nahar Chamoro. A river swept away your donkey. The Chamor Chaver and your friend's donkey. Shalo Yafim money, yours is worth only $100. The Shalaver Masayim, your friend's is worth $200. So he tells you left yours to drown. He tells you saved your friends. Elo Schar, again, all you get is your reward. Imar, if you said, Imarlo, he said, Atzil Shachal, I save yours. Todo Saintly, Demeshli, you give me the price of mine. Chayiv Litin, then the other guy must give it to him. Time, Tinil Shul, Atzil Shachavero. You went to say, you left yours to save your friends. Valo Shachaver Me'elov. Your friends came up on its own. You didn't actually save it. In that case, Enis Kaklo Kum, tough luck. You get nothing. You lost yours, and you don't get any reward from him because his came up on its own, right? It spontaneously came back. What about this case? Now, I think the Pnei Moshe has the wrong pshat here, and there's also a Mashbiach which I think is the wrong pshat. And I said a pshat, and then I found the pshat in the Or Sameach, the way I'm going to learn pshat. You left yours to save your friends. Okay, and your friend agreed to reimburse you for yours. And yours came up on its own. Can he say, I gave up hoping it already? Hi, it came up again! That doesn't matter, it's panim chadoshos. So you have to pay me, and I get mine back, if I chopped it before somebody else chopped it. Do you understand the case? So can he say that? Should get double. So, there's a case like this in the Bavli. I saw the Or Sameach makes this connection too, but I made the connection without having seen the Or Sameach. the case of Rav Safra, who used to, there was a caravan which they used to pay every member to sacrifice a donkey each day to a lion which was following them. And Rav Safra, his day came and he gave his donkey, and his donkey was not eaten. And he said, you guys still have to pay me. Because it's I gave up on my donkey. I was willing to send him away. I was my schus and my donkey wasn't eaten, but you guys still owe me the money. Okay, Mishmaya Karach Malaya Bava Safra. So that's the same case over here. Can he say that over here? He says, you have to pay me. Hi, I got mine back. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me a matana. But it's not you. You still have to pay me. And what Sameach gives a fascinating zushtel. He says, I rented a house from you. And I, the tenant, guarantee you that in case of fire, I'm going to pay you. And then you, the landlord, who was already guaranteed, take an insurance policy on the house anyway. And now the house burns down, and the insurance policy is going to pay. Do I have to pay you as well? That's mamish, it's Gemara. In other words, according to the way we just learned it. He had an insurance policy, and he got it back anyway. Does he get double? So that's the question. And the Maskana of this Gemara will determine, the Pashas, or the Yerushalmi brings other rights as well, will determine that case, whether you get, even though you got from the insurance company, you can also collect from this guy. Okay? Ma'aseh, nowadays in America, I think we have like no-fault insurance is meant to ensure that doesn't happen. You don't collect double. Whatever it's called, I don't know if it's no-fault insurance is the term for it, but whenever you use like auto company insurance, you can't collect double. You get only one. Medical insurance, you only get one. I think it's illegal to double dip like that, but theoretically, halachically, what would be the question? What would be the issue? So here it says, let's turn it to Machlekes. Short of Chamoichel. Your donkey was swept away by a river. He was shouting, saying, I don't give up, I don't give up. Calls my Tzavech, and he says, Taka didn't give up hope. So Tifo the Baloni. He's trying to prevent other people from getting it, but he was really miyayish. So Rabbi Yochanan over here, we believe him to say he was miyayish, and therefore he can collect double. He gets to keep the horse which used to be his, which he got now mina hefker, and he gets paid by the guy who guaranteed a payment for saving his horse. Okay, fascinating Gemara. Halova ben Dalraf. Agoyel Soda. Some stole a field in Atlum Sikim. This bandit is this Ganav is a real Shlamazel. He stole a field, and then bandits came and stole from him. So Imakas Medina if this is what happens in this car, the nothing to do with the bandit himself, the original thief. Bandits are roving the country. Uomer, he says to the Nigzal, Arish Shechol Vanecha. That's your field over there. Hi, there's a bandit there. It's your problem, not mine. That's the way it works in this country, right? If it's because of the Gazlan, in other words, the bandits knew that the original thief was there, and that's where they came. And then the Gazlan has given another field. The question is going to be why, but in that case he has to. Shadfa Nor. If the stone field was flooded, you say to the original owner, it's tough. Hi, your field is now under 6 feet of water. It's your field. If you stole a friend, or you borrowed from him, or you got some safekeeping from him. By Yishuv in the community, but you can't give it back to him in the desert. Because that requires all sorts of other expenditures, which are not part of the deal. I'm not squatzis by midbar if you gave it to him. However, on the condition, he gave you the condition that you're allowed to go out in the desert with him. Yaslo midbar, then you're allowed to return to him in the desert. I'm Rabbi Yochanan said, I understand the whole Mishnah. Why does the Gazan have to pay back other land? They said, ain't there's no theft by land, because land doesn't go anywhere. So why did they say, when the bandits came, because the original thief had stolen it, that the original thief has to provide another field for the Nigzal, Karka and Nigzal, there's no Gezel by Karka. Can't be stolen, it remains in place. You should always be able to say, Aresh Chol Fanecha. Or you say, here's your land. Knas Konsua. It's a fine against Gazlonim. Now another case. The bandits took it from the thief because they didn't like the original owner. In other words, they took it from the perpetrator, but not because of the perpetrator. They took it from the perpetrator because they didn't like the victim. So, can the Nigzal say to the Gazlon, it's still your responsibility. Havli Didi. You have to give me my stuff back. And somebody wants to can come and take it from me. But your responsibility you haven't yet fulfilled. And the Morat says, doesn't really give an answer for this. Just leaves it bad. It doesn't really say. The Gemara goes on to a new issue. Rabbi Shmuel Levi Mar Enodam Nitpas Al Chavero the Chayav Litain Lo. If people made me pay for you, Nitpas Chaver means I have to pay for you. I can never demand for reimbursement Elabar known the Google except by real estate tax and poll tax. And those taxes I can come to you and demand payment. Because there was no way you would get out of it yourself. But by a loan, if somebody compelled me to pay off your loan, I can't come to you then demand payment. Because you could always say, had it been up to me, I would never have paid. I would have defaulted, I would have convinced them not to take money, so therefore you can't make me reimburse you. So says Gemara, that's one interpretation. Rav said no, Yochem Meimarle, so he can always say, the guy who paid up the loan can say, At Shari Ivitoch, meaning you undid your knot, meaning you took the pressure off yourself by me, you got to pay me for that. Now I don't know if that means just to pay the full value of the loan. It might be somewhat prorated, because he took the stress off of him, right? That might be the issue. But he does have to pay something for the other guy having taken the stress of the loan off of him. I don't remember, we did learn the Ksubas, I don't remember what the conclusion of the studio was there, but we did have the Ksubas. Okay. Somebody says, friend, I stole from you. Or, he was trying to loan me money. Or if God is you left an object by me for safekeeping. They don't know if he was Zaytlach, I don't know if he ever gave back to you and low, if not. Lilach Zaytlach, or not. The Chayav L'Shaim has got to pay him. Because he knows he stole. Something if he gave it back, it's got to pay. Avo, I already said, Amalei, I don't know if I stole from you, if you loan me money, if God, let's see if you left not for safekeeping. If God it or if not. Part to Yerushalmi, in that case it's exempt from paying. Now, the Gemara is going to ask, what kind of cases are we talking about here? Says the Gemara, first of all, our Mishnah about Kamma, he wants to do tshuva. Because otherwise, there's no taina. Right? The guy didn't taina you. You're coming on your own, right? So of course you have to pay. Is there any raya here? There's no raya. And it's not a dos baldi because he said, I don't know if I stole. I don't know if I'm liable to you. So it's only a guy who comes, let's say, Sidei Shamayim. So says the Gemara, if a guy says, I stole from you, if you loan me money, if God don't sleep, he gave me some money for safekeeping. And he says, did I give it back to you? It's a question. Did I give it back to you? And the other guy says, any of that, I don't know if you gave it back to me. Now, the way they touch it up here, the Gil and the Frying touch it up, and the Chayr is right. It's not that he says, I don't know if you gave it back. It's not just he says, I don't know. Because in that case, the guy, the person who's in doubt whether he stole or he borrowed or got an object of safekeeping will not have to pay. There's story about a case where the guy says, I don't know, I know you didn't give it back to me. That I know. I just don't know if you stole. Excuse me. I know for sure I didn't get back anything. But I don't know if you stole. So in that case, Rabbi Yirmiyah Sofer Meimar Chayvlam, I should tell you, the Kiddush Ephraim says, brings out this machlekes between the Shach and the Tumah and what this halach is. Rabbi said, let me say it over again. The case like this, I come to you and I say, listen, I stole from you, and I don't know if I ever gave it back to you. Or I borrowed from you, I don't know if I ever gave it back from you. Gave it back to you. So you say to me, you know what? To give it back, you never gave it back. But I don't know if you stole from me. Or to give it back, and I never got anything from you. I don't know if you borrowed from me. So Machlokes Shach and Tumim, in this case, whether the guy has to pay back or not. Right? Normally, if I say, Ein yodeim nischayavti, I don't know if I'm liable, I don't have to pay. If I say, Ein yodeim pratich, I don't know if I paid back, I do have to pay. Because there the obligation was established, right? But that's where you time it to me that I stole from you. And depends how I respond to it. Whether I say, I don't know if I stole from you, in which case I have to pay, or I say, I don't know if I paid you back, in which case I do have to pay. But here, you didn't time it that I stole from you. I'm the one who's not sure if I stole from you. All you establish is that for sure I never gave it back. So that's the question whether in this case it's tantamount to a definite theft with a questionable, I'm sorry, in this case,
No return.
I'm sorry, but I still stated wrong. Here the guy says, I definitely stole from you. You don't know if I stole from you, but I definitely stole from you. I just don't know if I gave it back. And you say, I don't know if you stole from me. So in that case, it's like a Bori V'Shema, but it's a reverse Bori V'Shema. The guy of sure he stole. The Nignav is not sure he got stolen. Right? But there's a Bori V'Shema on the flip side too. The Ganav is not sure he paid back, but the Nignav is not sure he's sure he was never paid back, right? Now it's true, he's not sure he was ever stolen, so each guy's got a Bori, a definite claim, a Shem, and a questionable claim. So that's Machlokes, what do you do in this case? It's Machlokes to me, Mez Shach. Rabbi Yirmiyah Sover Meimar, Chayav Lami Lo Min Adin, he's got to pay him back. Because he's sure he does about the thing that he stole, and the other guy says, you didn't pay me back, so it's a Bori and a Bori. We take the Boris on both sides, the definite claims on both sides, join together, he's a thief and he never paid back. Rabbi Yisrael Sovar Meimar Odu Lotzei Sidei Shemayim. That's give back only Lotzei Sidei Shemayim. In other words, the Boris don't join together. There's a suffix if there's a chiv of Gzela, and a suffix if there's a Chazara, and they join together, and he only has to give back in order to fulfill tshuva, but not for the not mikra din. Hotzeisi minachis v'nasati lucha. I say I took on my wad, I paid you back. Vormet says any of that I don't know if you did. In this case, Ravuna Amar Ormilo would say at lo at place yoda. You don't know if he paid you back. By hand yoda, he knows that he paid you back. According to Pei Moshe's case of a Bori, I know for sure that I paid you back. So he says, even though you don't know, I know, and we rely on his statement that he did so. Somebody steals a sheep from the herd. And he gives it back. If the owners didn't know about the original theft, and when they brought it back, the thief brought it back, they counted the sheep. Vishlema, and they had an entire herd, and that's something that other sheep got damaged or hurt, so then Patim Shayim, you're exempt from pay. Okay? So it says more, Amr Yochanan said, Im Yodu Abaylim, if the owners knew about Gneva, the theft, Tzrichim Leidaba Chazora, theft, no one is given back. They didn't know about the theft, Ein Tzrichim Leidaba Chazora, they don't have to know when it comes back, and they don't even have to have it counted. Since they don't know, what they don't know doesn't hurt them. Says, even though they didn't know the theft, they have to know about coming back. There's long babblings about this. It says, if it's like that certain kind of sheep or goat, they don't know it's given back. What's that certain type of sheep? Now this is actually quote from Abasra. The case of Abbas is a famous case of how can I sell a herd or a pack. And it says there, Eastamar, some say Bachutra, some say the king takes place when I give over the stick. Eastamar, some say Punja, the king takes over and I give over the recorder, which is used in order to call in the flock. Eastamar, Tasharab, and I give in the lead when I give over the lead sheep, because that's a large and distinguished sheep, which I give over, and then the rest of the herd is together with these which are symbolic of, and are actually used for the whole herd in its entirety. So going back to this Hayin Baruch, it says, if I stole a lead sheep and you knew about the theft, and then I return it, even if I don't tell you that I return it, you're going to recognize your lead sheep. And in that case, that's considered to be a valid return of the theft. So the only reason I brought down these 3 words is for the last words, or last term of Tayosha Rabbah, the big sheep. Halachates. One cannot take from shepherds tzemer, wool, v'cholav, and milk, ugdoim, and kids, because we're afraid they steal. Peros, not for people who watch fruit, eating wood, more peros of fruit. But you can't. But you can't take linen objects or clothing from women in the Galil, Va'galim Sharon, and calves in the Sharon. That you can't do because it's considered to be assumed that the people who have them really own them. Every time the seller says, hide it. Also, it's also to buy it. Because if he says hide it, it's probably hot property. No matter what, you can always buy eggs and chicks because since they're so cheap, people don't steal them to sell them, I guess. Says the Gemara, we have this previously, well, then with greater detail. We can't accept safe deposits because it might not be theirs. Not women, not slaves, not kids. If you receive from a woman, Yachzu has to give it back to her. Basically, if he got from if she died, Yachzu Bali gives back to her husband. And there's a lot more back in the 10 nice barak. Mukin Shakovis Motzi. Mukin are like strands of thread, which a launderer takes out by washing. It's like what's the word? Lint. Thank you. So, Harei Ushlo, he gets to keep it. Shasoik Motzi, if somebody's combing wool takes out, arranged Baal Bais, it belongs to Baal Bais. More so significant. Hakoyev is a launderer, Noito Shlosh Chutin, you can take the last 3 threads. I think they're called basting, if I might be mistaken. You know, when they weave the garment, they put in 3 threads at the end to hold the garment in place. But they're like guide threads. They're not actually inherently part of the garment. So it might be white, different color, something like that. Just put there to hold the weave in place so it shouldn't unravel. So those 3 threads, if they're still left when the launderer gets them, you can take them. Because already is a hem on the garment they were just left in. If they're more than that, then Shabbat Bais, you can't take them. And if they're black and white, you're sure Baal Bais doesn't want them. Sakoli takes all of them, and they belong to him. He was a launderer. And fascinating Gemara. He had one frock in Chadamar, which was one color, one type of wool. Because normally launderers used to make their clothing from different colors and different wools, because they used to take a little bit here, a little bit there, off the clothing which they got, snip here, snip there, illegally in many cases. So Abba Shaul didn't want Abba Isha didn't want people to be choishish him. So he had one garment.
Wasn't all black?
It was all black. No, that's exactly the point. Min Chayamar, from one wool, all black. Versteht so. What do you think? So I have embraced an army. People shouldn't say Miti Donlavash is wearing clothing made from our strands, from our strings. So therefore, he was all one clothing. Hachayit shishir min achut. A chayit, a tail left over from the chut, from the thread, enough to sew with, he has to give it back. That's already put to the Baal Bais. If he has a patch, which is 3 by 3 finger breadths, which is minimum shear also for tumah, because minimum shear of a patch, that's give back him. That which is a woodsmith creates sawdust with a small plane, a red shlo is because shiur, if he uses a large plane in order to do it, a lot of sawdust belongs to Baal Bais. Yosef says to Baal Bais, if however he's working in the Baal Bais' house, that happens to serve even the smallest sawdust Shabbat Bais, Moshe Bais, because it says Chatzer's Koiner for him. I assume it's because Chatzer's Koiner. Tani, we learned. Rabbi Chia said, Moli Amachat. How much the thread does the tailor leave over and have to give back? A needle's breadth. That's Kedei lead for. Which should be debate Rabbi Yana. They say it's keep flying kumlachut. It's twice as much. Kumla as a needle. 1 needle breath is not enough. It should be double needle breath. Taya Bar Kapora had a slightly different version of this. His Bryce had said Moli Mashiachas Amachat. The length of a thread through of a needle. The Rade Pachilo Kimshichas Amachat. And Bei Rabbi Yana they said also Kimshichas Amachat. Says more. Wait a minute. Mao Polik. Does Rabbi Yana argue himself? Because one place he said, Kimshir Zamach means an additional amount. So, Ma'apoli is Rabbi Yana arguing himself? Says, no, he doesn't argue himself. He's always saying it's double. Whatever shita you hold of, it's double that shita. Rabbi said, and needle full, to be Rabbi Nabiana and Pachilaki flying Klemaga. They touched it's a double needle full. Matai Bakapar said it's 1 stitch, Molim Shiras Amachat, the pull of a needle, to be Rabiana and Pachilaki flying Shiras Machat, twice the pull of a needle. Hadrocha Goizel, Umachil, Huslikala, Meseches Bava Kamma 43-Bava Metzia. Shnayim oichzim metalus. 2 people holding on to a talus. Aleph Amrav. Zoymer. Ani Mitzasiyah, this guy says, I found it. Zoymer Ani Mitzasiyah, must be the most famous Mishnah of Shas. Zoymer, this guy says, I found it. Zoymer Ani Mitzasiyah, this guy says, I found it. Zoymer Kulshi, this guy says, it's all mine. Zoymer Kulshi, this guy says, it's all mine. This guy takes an oath he doesn't have less than half. This guy takes an oath he doesn't have less than half. They divide it up. This guy says completely mine. This says it's half mine. The guy says completely mine. He's Shava. He's got to take an oath. He doesn't have less than 3 parts of it. The guy says that my doesn't have less than a quarter of it. This guy gets 3 parts and this guy gets 1 part. So if each guy claims the whole thing, each guy gets half. If one guy claims the whole, the other guy claims half, so it's split up 3/4 to 1/4. It's not proportional. Right? What would proportional be in that case? No, 2/3 to 1/3. Right?
One gets a half of a whole, the other one gets a half of a, obviously a half of whatever's left now.
So, Zeshmer Kulish Shali gets 3 chalogim. Those Chetzer Shli gets.
Oh, you're right.
Oh,
Right?
Right. That's true. You should be.
2/3 to 1/3. It was actually proportional.
right.
So the pshat is that we say that one half is not a dispute. So that's one on the bridge. The dispute is in the other half, and that second half we split up. Okay, that's how we look at it. It's not a proportional division. It's a question of how the judgments are rendered independently. Okay, Tani. A guy says to his friend, Ten limona, this is not in the Bible, this first thing. Ten limona shato chayavli. Give me the $100. Actually, it is the top of the Bible. Nice. Give me the $100 that you owe me. Amar Lo, so he says, Lo hizvar mi'olam, you liar, never took place. I don't owe you a plug nickel. So the Ruvain, the Toyin, brought witnesses that Shimon owes him $50. Not the full 150. Can he make him be Mechayev Shvuah and the rest? Is that like Moedim and Miktas or not? So the Machlokas, I think it's Machlokas Bavli Torah. B'chir Ravmar, Hodoyes Eidin, Hodoyes Peep. The testimony of the witness is like his own testimony. So he said, Moedim and Miktas. He's like somebody you concedes half, right? If I claim to you 100 and you concede for 50, it's the oldest shvuah in the books, right? It's in the Chumash itself. It says in that case, what do you say? Yeshua, shvuah d'oraisa, right? But here he didn't confess to himself. Right. So Rabbi Chia says tantamount. Same thing. It's not the same thing. I can argue through because Rabbi Yochanan says like you, right? Rabbi Law said, Mishnayim Eichsim B'Talis, a little bit of change here, the next couple lines. Mishnayim Eichsim B'Talis, Lomad Rabbi Chia Ruva. Rabbi Chia learned from Mishnayim Eichsim B'Talis. In our Mishnah it says, Mikem and Shetafos B'Chetzia, since this guy is holding on to half, it should be low instead of elo. Lo Kamishay V'Yedim Shechetzia Shalo, the Tema Nishba V'Noita. It says here that a shvua must be taken, right, by each one in this case, right, because the other guy's holding on to the half. Now, the truth is, there's many ways to read this Gemara. Tema Nishba V'Noita might be kasha. The Chora, in our well, I'm not going to confuse you. The simple way of learning is like we say here in our Mishnah, Rabbi Chia the Great saw in our Mishnah that if I'm holding half and you're holding half, so the fact that I'm holding half is a raya to my taina that it's all mine. Just like 50 witnesses on the 50 are raya to my taina that 100 is mine. It's not a complete raya, but it justifies a shvur over here. The other guy has to take a shvur and I have to take a shvur. In turn, both of us have to take shvurs. So it's over there, the guys take a shvur. Now it's not completely similar. Because there, and this is why I say that different ways to learn this tomorrow. Because there, who takes the shvur? Right either from you 100 and I do say him at 50. Who takes the shvur? You, the defendant. Here, who takes the shvur? Both. So here, to the Nishma V'Noto, the offendant takes the shvur over here, right? But alright, that's not a kasha, because they're obviously both taking a shvur. So Nishma V'Noto could mean that each one of us takes a shvur, and Rabbi Chia learned from here. Says the Gemara, so this case is also similar to that case. So the Gilin Ephraim tries to change the gears dramatically here, because there is a problem, because this Gemara contradicts the Gemara Ksuvas, in Bava Yerushalmi Ksuvas. The Yerushalmi Ksuvas sounds Rabbi Elo saying it's not like our Mishnah, for reasons which Gemara will say later on. In fact, the Shari cuts and pastes the reason from later on, puts it here. So, Lieberman brings us one of his riots that the Bavas, when Yerushalmi were edited before the rest of Yerushalmi. That's why Rabbi Elo here proposes that it's learned from the Mishnah, but in Ksuvas, Rabbi Elo says it's not learned from the Mishnah. It goes against the Mishnah, and that there's a different reason there, because that's after Rabbi Law heard it over here from Rabbi Yochanan later on. In Ksuvas, he said it over like he heard from Rabbi Yochanan. That's what we'll see in a few minutes. So it says, Rabba bar Memo of Rav Amram, Sliku hein de Rabbi Benai. And everybody has problems with the Girsa here. It's supposed to be Rabbi Benai, or it's supposed to be Rabbi Yanai. And what does it mean? Where did they go? What were they doing? So there are many people changing the Girsos. Most people change the Girsos here. But bottom line is that they went to Rabbi Benai, or Rabbi Yanai asked this question. Amalei, they said to him, is it not true that we don't give over shvur to somebody who's suspect? Amalei, so he said yes. And few lashon shvuin mosulo, even a language of shvur we don't give him. So everybody had shver. All our Kohanim had shver. What does it mean? Lashon shvur. What's the language of lashon shvur? So Baruch Hashem, you came here today and can hear this from me. And I think the pshat is like this. And nobody, I don't see anybody who says a pshat, and I'm astounded. What's their kasha? They're asking kasha, saying, somebody's suspect that he's going to lie, you never make him take a shvur. And the additional question is, you don't even give him a language of shvur which may make him into a liar. And if you have each guy swear in our Mishnah, right, that each guy's taking a language of shvur, right, then to support his taina, guy says, it's kulo shali, and I'll take and the other guy says kulo shali, and I'll take a chetzir and the bishop says each guy takes a shvur on half of it. So they're choshen out of shvur. How the choshen shvur? Internally they're contradicting with each other and contradicting with their own statement. More importantly, it's each guy tying it. I have the whole thing. To say I only have half of it is a contradiction. It contradicts what he himself said. And it certainly contradicts what the other guy said as well. So in this case, we have a paradox. How could you give a language of shvua to two individuals which contradicts their taina, and it's contradicted by the other taina? They're choshen al shvua. Now, the Gilin Ephraim has a long discussion on this because I've never seen such a long Gilin Ephraim. Because he's bothered by, well, I shouldn't exaggerate, I have, but he's bothered, it's on the bottom. He's bothered by the Lamaisa, all shvuos really are taken by somebody who's chashud by the other guy, right? They're always suspect by the other guy, right? Because the other guy's summoning him to court and make him take a shvuah on something. So obviously he doesn't believe him on something. So if you're going to always be afraid of chashud al shvuah, so you should never have anybody take oaths. But obviously, so the Gilin Ephraim says, well, in a chanam, you also really take it just in order to make the other guy feel good. But they not really have any intrinsic value. But that's difficult. The Pashut Pshat here is that we can't give a lashon shvua to an individual if it contradicts his claim. In other words, he claimed all of it is his. How can you go and make him take a shvua that only half of it is his? Contradicts his claim. So therefore, that's like choshed al lashon shvua. But it's true, he's not transgressing shvua per se, but what he's doing is wrong in terms of its contradiction of his statement. So it says, "I know what Kates and Nishma, I'll tell you. Ravuna Mar shvua sheyesh liba, take shvua that have portion of it, vein liba pachos mishav and pruta," which of course directly contradicts the Mishnah, because our Mishnah took a shvua shein lo pachos mi chetzia, right? So the Mashbiach, in one of his classic cute things, says that he really said here pachos mi shin pei. And they thought that meant shin prus shava pruta, but what it meant is she'ein baba pachos mi palga. I'm saying it said mempe, not shin pei. Pachos mi shava pruta mempe, and they thought it was two words, pachos mi shava pruta, which makes no sense. Rather, it's she'ein baba pachos mi palga. It was one word. And mempe with the slash for palga, he has no less than half. And his shvur doesn't contradict his words. If he'd said, all of it is mine, and he took a shvur, half of it is mine, that's inherent contradiction. And that's like choshed al shvur, that you can't let him do. But if he says, all of it is mine, and a shvur that I don't own less than half, so then that's not a contradiction. And that we allow each side to do in our Mishnah. Now, be that all as it may, Rabbi Yochanan said, Tava Beis Amrav, if you want to bring a raya from this case to Rabbi Chia, you can't bring a raya. What you want to bring a case in this case to Rabbi Chia said, if I claim for you 100, I have witnesses on 50. So then you have to take an oath against me that you don't know the other 50. And why to bring a raya for a Mishnah, right? That here the fact that each guy claims it's all mine. And willing to take it, and he has a raya, i.e. the shvur on half. So the other guy, so he requires the other guy to take a shvur on his half. It's no raya from our Mishnah, because our Mishnah could be im mizu shvuas takonai. Our Mishnah is telling about a shvua, which is a takona. It's not a shvua d'oraisa in our case. Zomer chetz shli v'zomer kushli v'zomer kula shli. When each guy takes a shvua, he's not taking a shvua in order to prove a point. You can't prove a point with a shvua. Right? That shvua is a deterrent in order to make sure that people are not too much involved in grabbing other people's talesos. So that's a unique case. There's no comparing that case to the case of Adam that I owe you 50 when you claimed 100. So that case is completely different from our case because there's no knas over there. There's no grabbing and unilateral usurping. So there's no comparison to our case where the shvua is not based on testimony and corroboration, but is based on deterrent and avoiding the situation. Okay? So that's all for tonight, Rabbi Yisrael. We'll stop here for now. We'll continue on to the top line of Beis Hamikdash tomorrow night.
How far behind?